off a daily fantasy. His number too high, then I'm probably fading him. He been on the road, he gon' eat up my salary. I hit up by, he go live before lock. Play back to back, then I probably won't pick on the DFS Bachelor, good as it gets. Build a few liners and hit me a leg. He had a good game, but it might be a trick. Log in the Slack so I know who to pick. Sharing our liners, we all gon' get rich. New to this game, you should come to the pad. You might want some cash and get a good laugh. DFS Sports, we gon' run up a bag. He heard every game and it's making me mad. You buying your lineups, I think you a cheater. DFS Bachelor, he the new leader, yeah.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Bachelor Pad. I, of course, am your host, the DFS Bachelor, and as our standard operating procedure is when we discuss League of Legends, we have our League of Legends Supermind, Mr. at League of Items. Mike, how you doing this morning, or this afternoon, I guess? Damn.
Doing pretty good. Pretty good.
Good, yeah.
Except for the whole Schalke situation.
Yeah, I just, EU Masters, I don't like any of those teams. I don't like the 1-0 format, I hate that. It drives me nuts. It's just dart throws. You're just fucking throwing darts. Basically. Yeah, that's how it feels. But we got a 3-game LPL. Obviously, it's the finals for LPL Saturday morning. And then they added 2 games for the Brazilian League playoffs. Those are starting. The top 4 teams in the Brazilian League are in the playoffs. So it's a single elimination best of 5 matches. So these will be going over a 31-hour period, these 3 games. So that's always fun.
Yeah.
But at least the quality of play is going to be 10 times better than what we've been seeing in EU Masters, so I like that.
Well, I don't agree. I don't think it's going to be that much better. China's better. Brazil is just crazy.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. It's just way more fun to watch. It's just way more fun to watch. Watching these guys in EU Masters is, for me, it's just once you watch some LPL games and you try to watch that, it's like, what the hell are these guys doing?
China's definitely better.
Yeah,
more fun to watch. Like the EU Masters commentators have been horrible. Brazil is pretty fun to listen to just because they do a lot of crazy Brazilian yelling, and even if you don't understand what's going on, it's just fun to listen to.
Absolutely.
So
I love it. First things first, thank you so much for all your support. We do appreciate all the kind words. If you're new to the channel, welcome to the team. Be sure to hit that subscribe button down below. Hit the like button. I really appreciate that. Especially when we got the angries running around, thumbs down, and we need you guys who are not crazy to throw us a like. I appreciate that. I think that's it. There's links in the video description below to Mike's channel. He does live streams all the time, different stuff. There's a link there. Our Twitter handles are down there, so be sure to check all of that out as well in the video description. The little arrow right by the title. So click that. Boom, boom, boom. I think we're just ready to jump in the first game, right? LPL Finals, it's what we're all looking forward to. Top Esports and JDG. These 2 teams did play once this spring. Top Esports won that match 2-0. Now, that was Top Esports without Jackie Love, and that was JDG without Zoom in the top lane. One thing I did notice that was interesting is Top Esports is going to QQ to start game 1.
Yeah.
Over Unyaya, and I don't like that. I think that's weird. They've been just on a tear since they've been doing the Jackie Love, Uyaya, support. So kind of strange. They have JDG, especially on Draftkings, as the favorite. Top Esports is much softer priced. I like Top Esports a lot. That's who I'm going to be more heavy on, just because it allows me to do a lot of other things with my roster construction. Certainly, we'll have some exposure to JDG, but for me right now, the soft pricing for Top Esports is calling me.
Yeah. I think that right now I'm going to open up the contest standings for the other contests because we can kind of get an idea of what the ownership looks like in the other contest right now that has those players, because it should be pretty similar.
Right.
I think when those contests locked, everybody just assumed that they were going to keep the same roster because that's the same thing to do.
Yeah.
But apparently that's not how they operate.
I don't understand. I don't get it.
Yeah, so if you look at the last contest,
which does concern me a little. If JDG comes out and wins game 1, it wouldn't shock me for them to sub back in Unyaya game 2.
Yeah, so it does become a sub risk. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you look at the ownership, let me just fix this real quick because it has Yuyan Gio was 23% owned, and Chow Chow was 1% owned.
Oh yeah, Chow Chow. It's pronounced Chow Chow. I'm gonna call him QQ. I don't care.
Yeah, it's tomato.
Yeah.
So yeah, that does kind of fundamentally change things. Top Esports is lower owned. The team spot's lower owned. if you look at both of the top laners, Zoom is 37%, 369 is 25%. The one thing to remember is that this was a 2-game slate, and the next one's going to be a 3-game slate.
Right.
So it's going to be changed up a little bit, but I do expect the Chinese teams to still have more ownership in general.
Sure.
Because of the familiarity people have with them.
Yeah.
And
yeah. And obviously, if you're stacking, so if you're picking the top esports side, you want Jackie Love, you want Knight, you can afford either. They're the same price in the captain. I kind of like putting Knight in the captain. He just sometimes tends to be a little bit lower owned, equal upside, in my opinion.
Yeah.
When you watch them play too, they like to play through that mid lane. Sometimes when he gets rolling, and then Jackie Love just comes and cleans everything up during the late game. But I love both in the captain spot. I want to play them both in the same lineup. I'm probably going to stay away from the support. It's just I'm not going to play that game. So if I'm making them my primary stack, it's going to be a little bit unusual. It's not going to be your typical mid lane 80 carry jungler team. I might include the top in the team instead, or something like that is probably the route I would go. On the other side for JDG, they're just much more expensive. So if you are going to make them your primary stack, you're either going, if you're pairing them with another favorite, you're going to have to do a jungler or a top in the captain spot, or you're going to have to stack them with an underdog so that you can afford to get Loken, Yagao, Zoom up into those captain spots for the upside.
Yeah, I think most people are going to want the favorites from the Brazilian matches because they're the 2 highest scoring fantasy teams in Brazil.
Especially Flamengo. Flamengo goes off.
Yeah, both of them really have had really good performances throughout the year.
Yeah.
So I think that might impact top esports ownership a little bit, make them a little bit higher owned, and for people who are hedging off of their other lineups.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I do like top esports more. I mean, either side can win this. They're both very good teams. They've been playing really well. JDG's been red hot, beat the living shit out of FPX.
Yeah. Hopefully the whole having Chow Chow in the lineup, hopefully that has something to do with them wanting to shut down Kanavi.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe there's some plans that they have.
Yeah, he's been on a tear. Kanavi's very good. One of the top junglers in the world.
Yeah, so I think it's like we've said in the other videos about this matchup. We need top esports to control the early game, specifically through the jungle, and that'll make it a lot easier for them to win. That's also going to make it potentially a lot lower scoring. So if JDG is still getting things like Elise and Kindred or a carry champion in general, as long as top esports can put him behind, we've seen Kanavi kind of not able to make a comeback in the game, which is it's not a deficiency of him. It's just difficult to do that in general.
Sure.
League of
I think we pretty much covered this game as much as we need to cover it. Predictions? You got a prediction? What do you like?
I mean, I liked the top esports side
until Chow Chow was announced as starter.
Yeah, changing out members of the team kind of scares me.
It's a dick move too. It's a dick move to DFS players, especially if you're doing that 2-game slate. It's a dick move. My lineup's dead. There it goes. Bye bye.
Yeah, I had Doonby, Khan, and Crisp, so I actually avoided the whole problem. Luckily, so hopefully top esports wins and my lineup stays fine. I think if you're looking at how close the matchups are going to be, I think we're more likely to get a long series in top esports and JDG, and then you have the sweep upside in Brazil.
Sure. All right, well, let's move on to those Brazil games. The first game will be Saturday morning, Vivo Keed versus Kaboom Gaming. These teams actually played Vivo Keed's the number 1 seed coming in. They were 14-7. Kaboom they're tied with Furia. They were both 11-10. Kaboom's the 3 seed. Or the 4 seed. Kaboom won 2 of the 3 matchups this year versus Vivo Keed. Interestingly enough, including the most recent one on April 11th, I believe that was. They won that matchup as well. Again, we have a pretty good idea who's going to play. I guess the biggest question is going to be that jungler for Vivo Keed. For some reason, Chaos played that last matchup. I don't know if they just already had it locked up and just didn't give a shit. Wanted to see what he could do.
Yeah, I have no clue.
The games that they played during the regular season split, Grell was the jungler for each of those games. I would expect Grell would start there, but there is some risk, I suppose, because they did just show that they'll throw Chaos in for whatever reason that was.
Yeah, that does make me pretty afraid of that. Like,
Sorry,
we're not going to know.
you
We're
kinda-
not going to know before lock either, right?
Yeah, we're not going to know before lock. There's no way. Unless they're going to give us the lineups, 7 hours early, 8 hours early before the match starts. Which
Yes.
we'll be on the prowl for those. If they are on there, they'll be on our Twitter feed, but there's no guarantee that that's going to happen.
Yeah. So the one good thing is if you're going to use them as a secondary stack with one of the Chinese teams, you could just avoid
Exactly.
the jungle.
Yep.
And then at the same time, I think they do have the 3-0 upside. I think both of the favorites in Brazil have the 3-0 upside. The money line is -227. So this is projected to be the closer matchup than Flamengo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Kaboom beat them twice. They've already beaten them twice.
Yeah, so if I'm looking at the pick bans from those games, it's they gave up Aphelios 3 games in a row against Kaboom, which I hate seeing that because they were the blue side as well. So when you're the blue side and Aphelios is left open and then you let Aphelios go to the other side, I think that's just bad strategy.
Right.
In general. And
Right.
2 times in a row, they've tried to set up compositions like baiting them to pick Aphelios and then haven't been able to execute their game plan to beat Aphelios. So if they're doing stuff like that again, then it fundamentally changes the matchup. Like I could definitely see Kaboom winning in that situation. They've been playing Duds the Boy more recently, right? I think that's the 80 carry that they'll probably have.
Let me get my screen up.
He's played in their last 2 for Kaboom.
Yeah,
He's played in their
Dud's the boy. Yeah, he's been the guy that's been playing. Like even for me, if you're taking the underdogs and that like the teams with the upside, like you said, are Flamengo and Vivo Keed. Like the underdogs, that's not how they're gonna win. They're gonna have to play more of a macro game to beat these teams. Just from when I looked at when they played, how it went.
Yeah. I think the best matchup for Kaboom is their top laner, Parang.
Robo versus Parang, yeah. Yeah, Parang
So I
has
think
been a good player for them.
Yeah, Parang has had a lot of big performances because of the kinds of champions that they put him on.
Mm-hmm.
So I would watch out for him. That's a good way to get yourself a JDG lineup as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to come down to like how do I combine these 2 teams, where like I'm assuming that they get a good draft and like I'm assuming that they win. Like if you're going to throw them into your lineup, you're going to obviously have them winning.
Right.
So he's played. I mean, it looks like they have some pretty intelligent drafts, and it looks like they're picking the champions that I want them to pick as well. So they have played Kindred and Graves, and those are 2 of the most important champions in this meta.
Right.
Because they're
and their 80 carry for Viva Keed, Klaus. He does have good upside. He's put up some big performances as well. So he's another guy that I wouldn't mind if you're just trying to be different. Saying okay, everyone's going to play the Chinese leagues team, and you want to make the Brazilian league your primary stack. Then building around a guy like Klaus.
Sure.
And I think, is absolutely in play.
Yeah, definitely. And it just comes down to which matchups have the higher kill upside and which matchups have the game not played bonus upside. Because it's tough for me to see the Chinese match going like 3-0.
Yeah.
But with Brazil, because it's like earlier in the playoffs when you're getting sweeps more often, like the 1 seed versus the 4 seed, 2 seed versus 3 seed, like that seems like a more likely spot to get the potential sweep. So you're just getting a little bit more game not played bonus upside, and when you're getting those games not played, that increases the amount that we want the top laner support and team slot,
right?
Because like we always go through, those are the 3 most vulnerable positions to losses. So if we can avoid losses altogether, it's going to bolster their scoring more so than the 80 carry or the jungler or something like that.
Sure. And the support for Vivo Keed, Professor, he's shown good upside. He's a good player too. When I was watching them play, he kind of stood out. He's able, he had a good feel of the map, was able to, when they were doing their picks or whatever the hell they're talking about, he was effective, and he has big upside too in terms of DraftKings scoring. So staying away from, if you're doing a top esports Viva Keed stack, let's say, I would definitely prefer Professor over Chow Chow or Yunyaya, obviously. So just kind of when I'm doing lineup construction that way with those two teams, that would be
Yeah.
how I would approach that.
Yeah, I think the thing about the Chinese match is that when people are going through and trying to think about how they're going to build their lineups, everybody's just going to assume that China's going to score more kills tomorrow, and because of the spot that they're in the finals, I think that might limit the upside a little bit in terms of kills, and then also the because of the ways that Top Esports is going to try to win the game.
Right.
I do think that controlling, or at least trying to control the map, is the right way to go.
Right.
So if I'm projecting Top Esports to win, I would project them to go lower scoring than if JDG wins.
Oh, interesting. Anything else on this Viva Keed Kaboom game?
No. Start up the next one. I'm gonna look at the last matchups between Top Esports and JDG.
Okay.
Because I want to see how those games went.
Fodic actually played really well. Knight, of course, when I looked at that game log. Our last game, Flamengo and Furia. These are the 2 and 3 seeds. Flamengo is another one of these very aggressive teams. They play wild. They can get them in trouble. If they get hurt early game, it's going to be a long set. Flamengo's the favorite. These teams also played 3 times during the split. Flamengo won 2 of those 3 matchups. So it's a little bit opposite. This is where the favorite actually did beat the lower seeded team twice. Quite a few players on Flamengo that I like. I especially like who the hell was it that I was looking at that I was watching play? Oh, Ranger, their jungler. I think he's a good player. I like how he played the map. One thing that's interesting to note, Flamengo, when they lose, they give up a ton of fantasy points as well. So I do think that Furia is a live dog. All of the underdogs in this 3-game slate can win. I think you can make the case to have exposure to all 3 of them in different builds. So I don't, of all of the favorites, I think Flamengo is most likely to win and sweep.
I think so.
And that would be my take on it. That's how I'm going to approach it. It's not going to blow my mind if Furia wins. It just won't. I've learned that lesson the hard way. Right. But I like Flamengo a lot. I do like Flamengo a lot. I like their upside. I like the way they play. So I'm going to have lots of Flamengo.
Yeah. I think that I like both of the Brazilian favorites more than JDG. So I think part of that is because I do like Top Esports so much to win. I kind of have to feel that way, I think. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if I'm kind of trapping myself there, but I just it makes so much sense to me. That's what you have to do to beat JDG, and I think Top Esports can do it. So then you're going to have to look to one of these other favorites to really score the most points. And then if that's the case, I think that Flamengo is probably the team that you want to have the exposure to.
And if we're just going through the positions for Furia, because they have a couple of tops, it's going to be Tyron. I don't know if he's trying to be a Lannister or whatever. It's going to be Tyron in the top. Fitz hasn't even played. They have switched out their junglers a little bit. Let me take a closer look at that. Actually, the last time Sting played was against Viva Keed back on March 15th. So it looks like they're running with Minerva as their jungler. In the mid lane, no substitutes. The carry is going to be alternative. Steps doesn't play. And at support, it's going to be JoJo for Flamengo, and then there's no substitute there. So that's important to look at because you don't want to get stuck with a 0. And we've seen some teams do some weird shit, just like Schalke did today.
Yeah.
So it's certainly something to keep an eye on. So protecting yourself, making sure that if you are playing, especially these later games where we won't know the lineups before lock, making sure that you have the right person in there and aren't trying to save salary and play Lucci, who played one time and scored -2 points. So I would think people would be smart enough. But, we have people drinking Clorox, so I don't fucking know how smart anybody is.
That is very true. Unfortunate.
Anymore. All of our viewers are super smart, so I'm sure you guys are fine. You guys and gals are fine. But, it's just something important to throw out there. Wow, this is going to be a record fast video for us. So I guess we could say our top 2 favorites. For me, it's Flamengo and Top Esports, or Flamengo and Viva Keed in terms of the 3-0 advantage.
Yep.
The favorite with the higher upside, probably slightly higher than Flamengo, is JDG. If they do indeed win, like you said, they're going to score a ton of points. So, have exposure there. And
I would really be, I'd be very surprised if watching that matchup tomorrow, if JDG goes out there and just like completely demolishes Top Esports in terms of not only winning the games but getting a lot of kills, I'd be very surprised. I just don't think that makes any sense. Like, why? I don't understand why Top Esports would opt into that kind of draft or into that kind of game. So it is interesting because in this meta, like the game script that most often happens are fights around the dragons, diving bot lane around 8 minutes, going for Rift Herald around the 8-minute mark, and then continuously playing out the dragon game. So I feel like both teams would want to do that. So Top Esports will probably have some kind of plan to either opt into those trades by drafting for early game, while also trying to limit the carry upside from JDG, or I could see them doing a lot of trading where it's like you just kind of go 50-50 for the first, try to go 50-50 for the first 15 to 20 minutes. And that's actually something that does scare me a little bit in terms of Top, because if you get into that mindset where it's like, okay, we're fine, trade, like 1 or 2 things goes wrong when you're trading, and then you're playing from a deficit, and it's just so difficult to play from a deficit. Karsa is not a jungler when he's behind, and we haven't seen Kanavi have to play from behind very often, so we don't even know how good he is from behind. But I would assume it's bad, because most players in League of Legends, you just look worse. I know what you want to say. Don't do it.
I'm just going to say, I always lie about how good I am from behind until we get there, Let's just get there. I'll lie to you. Let's get you in here, and then we'll sort it out.
I knew that was coming. Oh, God.
I'm just saying, you got to lie. That's why all the rulers in my house, I have them cut off. They start at 4.
Smart.
No bullshit
Smart.
Around here. Yeah.
5.5. There you go.
There you go. I told you.
5.5. There you go.
I told you, girl.
So yeah, my thing with Furia, Minerva has played some weird junglers. Like he pulled the Morgana jungle, which was kind of strange. That's the kind of thing that you kind of see and you're like, okay, what are they going to try to do in playoffs? Because they have something up their sleeve. Like they have a plan to do some weird stuff. So he plays Elise, he plays Lee Sin, he plays Talia, he plays Kindred and Graves. That's a good champion pool. And then the other side has good champion pools too. So it's not like a huge advantage there.
Right.
Like if you guys remember when we were looking at World Elite, that's when we really saw like the champion pools actually having an impact on their winning chances, because they were seeing the meta better than other teams, but then their talent deficiency kind of wore off. Right. It proved itself. Right. More than wore off.
Right. So I guess put it this way, I'll do my favorite game stacks. My favorite 3-4-4-3 stacks. It's going to be Top Esports and Flamengo. I'm going to make that work. I think the salaries are going to do it with Top Esports. I think that's my favorite stack. Probably my favorite contrarian stack with an underdog would be JDG and Kaboom. Because Kaboom has shown that they can beat Viva Keed a couple of times this year, so I always like seeing that.
Yeah, so the leverage plays that I'm looking at are 4-3s with Brazilians as the primary stack, and then double Brazil is going to be contrarian.
Yep.
And then Top Esports with an underdog from Brazil is going to be less popular. And if I was going to pick an underdog from there, I would probably pick Kaboom, because I can convince myself like, okay, Top Esports goes 3-1 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
You leave out the top laner, because that's like the strongest part of the map for JDG. Right. And then you go to Boom, you get Parang in there, and then you fill out the rest of your lineup.
Mm-hmm.
I can see that being that being a good way to construct everything. The one thing I'd be afraid of is I think that does Kaboom, or not Kaboom, does Vivo Kid give up a lot of points in their losses? I feel like they don't.
I've only watched them play once. I didn't look at a ton of their losses. I looked at the ones against Kaboom. They weren't huge games.
Yeah. So as usual, watch out for sports projections. He'll probably post something today.
Yeah.
With like how much they give up in losses,
Yeah.
because that is going to be very useful when you're building your lineups tonight.
Especially if you're picking an underdog. Yeah. I know Flamengo does. That's the thing. I know Flamengo gives up a shit ton of points when they lose. I know that they do. And they can get a little aggressive in the early game, and if they make one mistake and start getting behind in that gold, etc., then it just snowballs from there. So the draft's going to be important, like you said, like what kind of champions Furia picks, if maybe Flamengo's typically doesn't set up for the late game. They're not trying to scale the whole game, but they're an aggressive team. I'm excited to watch that game, and I'll be awake. Yeah. So
favorite underdog is easily top esports, by far.
Yes. In terms of the underdog.
If this was a month ago, top esports would be the favorite.
Right.
And I know that you can't really think about things like that because you're getting rid of a ton of data. Like we've seen so much stuff in the past months from JDG that makes them a better team.
Yeah.
But when teams are consistently giving you or allowing you to play your preferred play style, you have to figure at least at some point they're going to try to take that away from you.
Yeah.
So I would expect Graves bans in every single game as a starter, because that's just a ridiculous champion right now.
Yeah. All right. I think that's it. Anything else?
Nope.
Nothing else. I don't know what the schedule is like for League of Legends the next few days, but whatever they have up, we'll have a video for, however that works out. I know EU Masters is moving on. I think, is this the last day of group stage today?
Yeah, the knockout stage should be better. Hopefully Draftkings makes some better contest decisions in terms of like what games they're putting together.
Yeah.
For EU Masters, because if they keep doing 2-game slates, I mean, it's just uninteresting.
Yeah. You're totally right. Again, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Really appreciate all of that. Check out Mike's video. Subscribe to his channel down there. You can follow us on Twitter. Any useful information that we get will be there. And plus, if I get drunk, sometimes we're having fun on there. It just depends. I post some great 80s songs for everyone to rock out to when I'm in the mood. It was Eric Carmen the other night. Boom. Getting those hungry eyes going and everything else. Good stuff. Really appreciate all the support. May the fantasy gods be with you all. Good luck for the rest of today at EU Sport, the EU Masters, all you Counter-Strike players, etc. Good luck to all of you. And we'll see you here in the next couple of days, depending on what the schedule is. I have absolutely no idea at this point. I don't know. Bye, folks.
See you.